Hey,
Hey.
how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well.
Yeah. Look at your very special own groups today. We all get Saturday groups. You get your special Sunday groups today from Jane.
Yep. They're cool.
Oh, yeah. Right? Hey. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited. This is our first stream to 3 different platforms together.
Yep.
Hello, Kick. Shill, thank you for being over there. Thank you. Hi, Maggie. Nice to you to join us. Oh.
Hey. Welcome to the final chapter of 50th Law.
10
Final
chapters.
chapter. That is nuts.
This went really fast. I was just saying before, right? 10 weeks we've been at this. Wow. It's been something.
Yep.
This one's a rough one, but I said that about the last 2. So like nobody's gonna me anymore because I've been crying wolf about how bad it is. But the last 3 chapters, like 8, 9, and 10, have put me in an existential crisis, a mini one,
Yep.
just a little bit,
Just enough to sort of make you go,
yeah.
Life's a thing.
Well, this book, one of them should get you. You have to find a lesson somewhere in it. The overall lesson
absolutely
is amazing. But yeah, it's just this one is mortality. Yeah.
Yep. This is the one that, I mean, of all the things you could expect everyone to know or at least practice one of the rules, but 10 is almost guaranteed that no one has really practices it at all.
Mhm. You know,
It was,
it has been a surprise for me. I don't
mm,
think people expected me to do something so edgy. I mean, this is 50 Cent. I'm definitely, you know, I'm not gangster. I'm an old white lady from New Jersey. like, and I didn't know anything really about rap, only pop rap, like you would call, like,
mm,
pseudo rap, top 10 rap kind of stuff,
yeah.
until you and I started. You helped me in my studies of the
Hmm.
genre rather, because I have a pretty good musical background. I know a lot of musical history, and I had never really delved into that part of it. So it's been a growing experience. And then he is just so controversial a figure, like that.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, not controversial that he's like, diving into horrible topics or anything like that, or has outrageous opinions. He's just controversial as far as he's just not what anybody expects.
Well,
He's always his own man. Like he don't waver from who he is.
yeah, and he was, from what I remember, basically the first to be called like a real gangster rapper,
Hmm.
someone who lived it. I mean,
Well,
the people, obviously there are other rappers out there that did as well, but for some reason, 50 was the one that got the got the most fame as being a real gangster rapper.
and true, like the one part of the story where rap is getting popular and it's all fluff and fake, and he's offended,
Mm,
and it kind of
mm,
energized him to come back and say, like, no, this is the real deal. This is what it's really like.
yep.
um and I'm just gonna remind everybody, and that kind of gave him his hook back, you know i-
Mm,
into everything. But yeah, he's quite. I never thought I'd be taking life lessons from a character like 50 Cent. Never. you know
yeah.
it wasn't on my bingo card. Didn't see it coming. Nope. But you know
Well, I mean, especially from someone who came from such a hard background, you, it, as as you don't. Well, I guess you don't really tend to think you're going to learn very deep life lessons
yeah, it's
from a
like,
gangster rapper, like from a rapper. You think rapper, and it's like,
nah, yeah, you're like,
well, you're
you
like,
know
what are
everything.
they going to teach me? How to sling dope
Yeah, right.
and
Or
stay
just
on
like,
beat?
yeah, carry a knife, shoot a gun,
Mm,
whatever, or rob somebody. Like, you
mm-hmm.
think like, that's the thing. You think you know what that's all about until
Yeah.
you actually know what that's all about.
Yeah.
Until somebody just goes, no, like, these are the things you can pull from. But that's the beauty of it. Like, why I wanted to do this is it's so relatable to everybody else. If you could actually put the lessons out there, and how well they
Exactly.
do actually relate to everybody, not just a bit. Like, most of it is about business, right? When we think, oh,
Oh,
success,
yeah.
right? Everybody says,
Mm,
oh, yeah, well, business, my job, whatever. No, success in life in general, in
mhm.
whatever you want to do. Even if you want to do nothing, you could be successful at doing absolutely nothing. doing
Exactly.
doing these steps because it's going to teach you how to actually appreciate it at the end, and how to actually be happy. How many of us are guilty when we're actually happy? When you're actually, like, happy, even
Mm,
if being happy is like doing absolutely nothing.
yeah.
We have built-in human guilt. you know
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Maggie
We
might. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
it it seems like we're just, like, this the moment we realize that that we're enjoying ourselves, we tend to think about, like, what maybe we should have been doing
Hmm.
instead.
And that's that pressure for knowing when's the time to grab it, not wasting time, the go
Mm,
go. But that's the thing. This chapter kind of tells us why we feel like that. But this
yeah,
chapter is
exactly.
all about mortality, facing the fact that we all know it's going to come to an end. Like,
Mm-hmm.
life has a time clock,
Yep.
and time's always
Limited
ticking.
days.
Yep. And just the reality of that, in conquering that can free you. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, it's all about achieving the sublime. That's a word I like. Do you like to say the word sublime?
Yeah. Great band.
It, I never even thought about that. It is a great band, but I just like the way the word is. The word
Mm,
is sublime. Like when you say the word sublime, it's sublime.
yes.
It's a word that feels the way it means. And
Mm-hmm.
Maggie, thank you for asking. My throat was so bad yesterday. I just couldn't after trial. I had just stretched it, but I'm feeling a little bit better. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds horrible. I apologize, everybody. I probably sound like a frog or something.
You don't sound too bad.
Oh, thank you. Shall we get to it? What do you think?
I believe we should.
Okay. Let's get this show on the road. All right. May I take the first one?
You may.
So, for chapter 10, titled Confront Your Mortality, the Sublime, in the face of our inevitable mortality, we can do one of two things. We can attempt to avoid the thought at all costs, clinging to the illusion that we have all the time in the world, or we can confront this reality, accept, and even embrace it, converting our consciousness of death into something positive and active. In adopting such a fearless philosophy, we gain a sense of proportion, become able to separate what is petty from what is truly important. Knowing our days to be numbered, we have a sense of urgency and mission. We can appreciate life all the more for its impermanence. If we can overcome the fear of death, then there is nothing left to fear.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start, as always, the chapters talk from 50's perception of everything. The
Yep.
hustler's metamorphosis. You
I
want to read
had
the.
reached the point at which I was not afraid to die. This spirit made me a free man, in fact, while I remained a slave in form.
Hmm.
Frederick Douglass. The story starts once again going back in time. So, by the mid 1990s, Curtis Jackson felt supremely dissatisfied with his life as a hustler. The only way up and out that he could see was music. He had some talent as a rapper, but that wouldn't get him very far in this world. He felt somewhat confused about how to break into the business, and he was impatient to begin the process. Then one evening in 1996, all of that changed. At a Manhattan nightclub, Curtis, now known as 50 Cent, met the famous rapper and producer Jam Master Jay. He could sense that this was his opportunity, and he would have to make the best of it. He talked Jay into letting him visit his studio the following day to hear him rap. There, he managed to impress him enough that Jay agreed to serve as his mentor. It seemed that everything now would fall into place. 50 had saved money to tide him over while he moved into this new career, but it wouldn't last forever. Jay got him a few gigs, but they didn't pay. On the streets near his home, he would see his hustler friends doing well, while his funds were dwindling to nothing. What would he do when he ran out of money? He had already sold his car and jewelry. He had recently fathered a son with his girlfriend and needed money to support the child. He started to feel more impatient than ever. After much persistence, he got someone at Columbia Records to hear his music, and the label became interested in signing him to a deal. But to get out of a contract he had signed with Jay, he had to give him almost all of the advance money from Columbia. What was worse, at Columbia, he now found himself lost amid all the other rappers signed to the label. His future looked more uncertain than ever. With his savings almost gone, he would now have to return to hustling on the streets, and this made him feel bitter. His former colleagues were not too happy to see him again. Feeling like he needed money fast, he became more aggressive than usual and made some enemies on the streets who began to threaten him. He had been splitting his time between the record studio and hustling, and his first album at Columbia was about to come out, but the label was doing nothing to promote it. Everything in his life seemed to be unraveling at the same time. Then one afternoon in May of 2000, as he got into the back seat of a friend's car, a young man suddenly appeared at the car window, brandishing a gun, and began firing at him at close range. The bullets went all over, 9 of them piercing his body, including one that opened a giant hole in his jaw. The assassin then hurried away to an awaiting car, certain he had done his job with the shot to 50's head. 50's friends quickly drove him to the nearest hospital. As it all unfolded, the event itself didn't appear real to him. It was like a movie, something he had seen happen to others, but at one point, while he was being operated on, he sensed that he was close to death, and suddenly it all seemed very real. A searing light flooded his eyes, and for a few seconds a shadow crept over it, while everything else came to a stop. It was oddly calming. It was an oddly calming moment. Then it passed. In the months to come, he would stay in his grandparents' house, recovering from the near mortal wounds he had suffered. As he regained his strength, he could almost laugh at the whole thing. He had cheated death. Of course, for hustlers in the hood, this was no big deal, and nobody would feel sorry for him. He had to move on and not look back, while also keeping an eye on the killers who would be looking to finish the job. In the wake of the shooting, Columbia had cancelled his album and dropped him from the label. He was surrounded by too much violence. 50 would get his revenge. He would launch the kind of mixtape campaign on the streets that would make him famous, and those same executives would come back begging to sign him. As he re-geared up for action, however, he noticed that something had changed inside him. He found himself getting up earlier than usual in the morning and writing songs late into the night, completely immersed in his work. When it came to distributing his tapes, he didn't care about making money in the present. He couldn't care less about clothes, jewelry, or nightlife. Every penny he made, he poured back into the campaign. He didn't pay attention to all the petty squabbles others were trying to drag him into. His eyes were focused on one thing alone, and nothing else mattered. Some days he would work with an intensity that surprised him. He was putting everything he had into this one shot at success. There was no plan B. In the back of his mind, he knew that it was that moment near death that had changed him for good. He could still feel the original sensation in his body, the light, the shadow, and it filled him with a sense of urgency he had never experienced before, as if death were on his heels. In the months before the shooting, everything had been falling apart. Now it was all falling into place, like destiny. Years later, as he amassed his business empire, 50 began to encounter more and more people playing strange power games. A company that partnered with him would suddenly want to renegotiate their contract or act skittish and consider pulling out, acting as if they had just found out about his notorious past. Perhaps it was just a ruse to squeeze out better terms. Then there were those at his record label who treated him with increasing disrespect and offered him meager publicity or marketing money in a take it or leave it ploy. Finally, there were those who had worked for him from the beginning, but now smelling money from his success began to make unreasonable demands. Certain things mattered to him more than anything else: maintaining his long term mobility, working with those who were excited and not mercenary, controlling his image and not muddying it for the sake of quick money. What this translated into was simple. He would exercise his power to walk away from any situation or person that compromised these values. He would tell the company trying to renegotiate terms that he was no longer interested in working with them. With the record with the record label, he would ignore the ploy and pour his own money into into the marketing of his album, with the idea of leaving them soon and striking out on his own. He would cut loose the former friends without a second thought. In his experience, whenever he felt as if he had too much to lose, he held on he held on to others or to deals out of fear of the alternative. He ended up losing a lot more. He realized that the key in life is to always be willing to walk away. He was often surprised that in doing so, or even feeling that way, people would come back to him on his terms, now fearing that they might lose what they might lose in the process. And if they didn't return, then good riddance. If he had thought about it at the time, he would have realized that turning his back in this way was an attitude and philosophy that had crystallized in his mind that afternoon of the shooting. When death had brushed against him, when death had brushed against him, clinging to people or situations out of fear is like desperately holding on to life on on even the worst terms. And and he had now moved far beyond such a point. He was not afraid of death, so how could he be afraid of anything anymore?
Yep. Wow. It's that life and death experience that just clicks everything into overdrive,
Mm-hmm.
facing his mortality. Like, it's like, yep, now or never. And then he
Yep.
translated that into the whole attitude of you're with me or you're not. Like, this is what I'm doing.
Exactly.
My way or the highway. Like, that's it. You're on board or not. Like, even negotiating his contracts and everything, he's just like, yeah, well, okay, see ya. Like, it's
Mm.
like, yeah.
I guess like with a mindset of you're going to die at any moment, you would you would essentially
Yeah,
live like that.
yeah, definitely you would. Like, they kind of brings up like the whole other part with with the approach, like he
Mm.
said, he said people talk about my getting shot like it represented something special. They act like they're not facing the same thing, but someday everybody has to face a bullet with his or her name on it. Think of like all the stories we hear about people finally living their life to the fullest after they've reached rock bottom, or they have to face immortality with an uncurable disease or a life-changing event
Exactly.
of some nature. And then you finally just everything just clicks, like, what am I doing? Like, this is not what I want. Like, I know we only have from A to Z, and I just want to experience and live life and be happy about what I'm doing, proud of where I'm spending my time, working on something that means something to me, like
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
like bringing the light back into it, shining a light on like everything you're doing, and like a focus, just
Mm-hmm.
refocusing itself, those it boils down to even something as small as, you know, organizing a room or something like that. You just, you don't have time for the clutter anymore, the things that don't mean
Nope.
anything. You know, you get to a certain point, and the sooner you get to that point, the better your life becomes. You start to put things where they belong. You you make lists of tiers, and you create boundaries to keep certain things out, like the petty bullshit, this stuff that just doesn't matter. You get a bigger perspective of what you want, where you're heading, and how that relates to the world. You know, it's
It does.
it's kind of
It
like a,
helps put things into perspective.
yeah, you know, like they you know, in philosophy, when they say, like, we're just one small, like, we're just one small drop in an ocean, right? How
Hmm.
does, how does understanding that make us feel more like the ocean? But it does, you
It
know,
does.
it absolutely
It,
does.
what's interesting, what I find interesting, or at least how I sort of uh, experience that idea, is that an atom is an ant to an ant. An
Hmm.
ant is an an ant is an ant to a human.
Hmm.
A human is an ant to an earth, and a planet is an atom to the observable universe.
And it just goes on and on and on. You
Hmm.
know, but knowing that everything's connected, you know, that's the thing. We may just be only one drop in the big ocean, but that every part, every drop is what makes the ocean. And
Exactly.
and you do have an important part in it, your role in it. And your role is to understand yourself as best as you can, and move in the world the way you want to, and contributing to that large ocean the way you want to, like the way you have
Exactly.
without fear. The whole book is
Mm.
about addressing that fear that we're not enough, or like things are going to change, dealing with the fact that the world is full of loss and change and inevitable ending. Like, that's it.
Yep.
um some people are crippled by that thought, that, you know.
Absolutely. Some people, yeah, it it freezes. It can. I mean, it can. It can freeze you up. You can drive yourself insane with that thought
Hmm.
if you just dwell on it.
And here's the thing, some of us don't even know we're obsessed with that thought. It's like in human nature to
Mm.
be afraid of it, and not want to think about it. So what do? Look at life in 2025 for almost everyone.
Yep.
It's like go, go, go. Fill your
And
days every second with every mind numbing type of entertainment and
distraction.
distraction. Yeah, that's the
Yep.
word. Yep, you got it. That's the word, that you can, because you don't want to be thinking about death is right around the corner. Like, it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's what he starts with the fearless approach. They Green starts to unpack all of that for us, the philosophy of it, how we got there, right? You know, well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And and uh, he I like some of the things that he does touch on. I actually find that this is a really a fitting chapter for a book like this.
Hmm.
It 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 pushes a lot of very hard concepts to not hard to understand, but hard to, I guess, hard to embody,
Yes, to achieve, or
and makes us
yeah,
face them.
right, and just address it for what it is, because we don't
Hmm.
want. it's against our nature, right? To
Mm-hmm.
you know, just sit back and dwell on the philosophical questions of life, so to speak. We should be doing,
Exactly.
and the book does embody doing, but it also at the same time embodies know what you're doing. Take the time to know yourself, your goals, how to
Mm-hmm.
research, you know, putting the energy into the knowing all of this, um, so that when you you when you do it, you have all the tools you need to actually accomplish it to the greatest of your ability.
Exactly.
And it starts with knowing yourself, knowing what you want to do, knowing your shortfalls and your skills, and building
Mm-hmm.
on them. You don't have to accept them, like you said. So you're not good at this. Do you want to be? You know, yeah. It's all
Yeah.
a matter of that. Do you want to be like? And when you tell yourself, "Well, I'd like to do this," and somebody says, "Well, why not?" Like, why not? Why can't you? Like, what's in your way?
Exactly.
Usually fear.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
do you, go
with the
ahead.
fearless approach, shall
Mm-hmm.
we?
Go ahead. I'm waiting on you. I was just filling in
Okay.
to got ready to.
So, it starts with a quote. People talk about my getting shot like it
We
represented something. Oh, wait, is that the, yeah,
we read that. We're ready
we
for
read
you to
that one. Oops.
go right in.
Okay. So, the we actually summarized the fearless approach instead of reading the whole thing um into a few short excerpts. And so we made 5 of them, and they are confronting reality, the calculus of power, forging luck, playing with the infinite game, and becoming ungovernable. So with the first one, the unflinching mirror confronting reality, fearlessness begins by staring into the abyss without blinking. Green uses 50 Cent's shooting as a case study. After surviving, 50 Cent didn't retreat. He dissected the attack, who betrayed him, why, and why. By mapping the why, he transformed trauma into tactical intelligence. Green actually ties this to Sun Tzu's etiquette: know yourself and your enemy, and you need not fear 1,000 battles. Fearlessness here isn't fear's absence, it's clarity's presence.
Mm. So that's like acknowledging the fear that we have a short time on this earth, acknowledging where you are in far as not conquering what you want to conquer, and then just
Hmm.
by recognizing that the fear is there, the clarity of being able to do something about it. Like, you have to recognize it first, right? Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Is that from the Art of War? Yeah, Sun Tzu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sun Tzu, The Art of
Oh,
War.
hmm. So that's a good one.
Then the next one is strategic aggression, the calculus of power. After being blacklisted by labels, 50 flooded mixtapes into New York streets, bypassing gatekeepers. This mirrors Julius Caesar's audacious 49 BC Rubicon crossing, a point of no return that reshaped Rome. The lesson: act with such decisiveness that hesitation becomes your rival's burden. Fearlessness here is velocity, compressing years of planning into moments of irreversible action.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's really, to me, this one's really talking about taking hold of the moment,
Hmm.
and really just taking what you learned or what you have learned, and even if you feel unprepared, move forward with it.
Yep. Going for it, you know?
Mm,
What is it, the Nike commercial? Do it.
just do it.
Just do it.
Shia
Right.
LaBeouf, just do it.
But it's such a empowering statement. Like you've got to conquer fear. I mean, we all, like, in 2025, are we not just surrounded by it? We all have fear about so much. The uncertainty of what's going
Absolutely.
to happen, things in politics, just the general climate of the world itself.
Mm-hmm.
That uncertainty just amplifies the fears that we have just for ourselves, just internally, our own personal fears. The fears of somebody, ridiculing us, not liking us, not accepting us, not fitting in, or
Mm-hmm.
standing out. People making too much of it. Like, with me, I don't, like, with me, it's a little bit of the opposite. Like, it's just like, stop it. Like, stop, like, focusing too much on me. Like, what about you? What about this? What about that?
Exactly.
Like, trying to hide from some of it because it can be uncomfortable, and the fear of not living up to expectations,
Mm,
the expectations that people have, or your own expectations for yourself,
exactly.
fear of failure, but then there's what about the fear of never trying? What about the fear of facing that it's too late? like
Mm,
Like, we put so much on ourselves, you're
we
afraid
do.
to get
Yeah.
started, then you're afraid to fail. Like, just these tools in the book, every single chapter, the one on aggression, the one on opportunistic attitudes, the one on realism, the beginning really spoke to me. The one about knowing the parameters of everything, to read the room,
Mm,
so to speak. After that, they're all they're on their own, they're great concepts, even if you just do one of them, but they
mm-hmm.
all concentrate on getting your power back in any situation, whether it's arguing with your neighbor over tree branches that need to be cut, or your 2-year-old toddler over brushing their teeth, your
Mm-hmm.
partner, your boss, yourself, about getting your power back for yourself, from yourself, in situations, in realigning everything to what's important and what's not, and being able to handle all those situations. It's amazing. Well,
Exactly.
I'm going to let you get to the next one.
The third one, Alchemy of Adversary, Forging Luck. When 50 Cent's debut album was delayed, he turned Queensbridge projects into his testing ground, performing unreleased tracks to gauge reactions. Green parallels this with Darwin's voyage on the Beagle. Chronic illness and isolation became the crucible for origin of species. The principle, what doesn't kill you, what doesn't kill you becomes the raw material for reinvention. Fearlessness here is the alchemy of transforming leaden setbacks into golden leverage. So it's
Mm,
very much taking control of your own destiny, making what you want happen, not hoping for it to happen.
mm-hmm. It's
I
amazing.
know.
Through adversity, we often find our strength and our personal power. Well, it's the saying, what
Mm,
doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's true.
yep.
um,
It actually
it,
made me think of a saying that I have my own personal gripe with, which
yeah,
is good things come to those who wait. And
yeah,
every time I hear that, I think, when has sitting on a chair ever gotten someone a position on a CEO's position in a massive business?
Now, waiting might be what you need to do it sometimes, but if that's if the waiting is an inaction, that's a bad thing. But waiting can be an action, right? We learned that in this book. Waiting for the like being willing to jump on an opportunistic moment, but knowing whether it's good for you or not. Knowing that sometimes you don't have the knowledge to dive right in. Like back in the beginning of the book when 50 got his first record deal, and he went there and he went into the offices every day to learn every aspect of the record industry, not just be there as the star, not to just be there as the contracted artist. He learned and learned, like, so he didn't like dive right in and say, I want this, I want that, I want a better contract, like, oh, you know, I'm not like anything. He learned, like, he waited until he had the knowledge to appraise, to do it with confidence, knowing what he wanted. He needed to know the lay of the land, right? Isn't that the chapter? Know the lay of the land?
Yep,
Right?
exactly.
So sometimes waiting isn't a bad thing, but it's waiting as
It
an
depends
action.
on how you wait.
Right. It's inactive waiting versus action waiting. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
You like inactive waiting is like you said, sitting on the chair, like, yeah, if it's meant for me, it'll happen.
yep.
No, it's if I want it, I'm gonna go get it. Like, no, I know what you mean about having trouble with that saying.
Mm,
That saying is so against my nature. I can't even think. I can't even like. Yeah, I don't even know
I
why it
think
exists.
I think the saying should be good things come to those who get off their ass and actually do something about it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, exactly. You know, the only thing that's sitting in a chair waiting for it to happen is going to give you butt spread. That's about it. It's not gonna, and then you're counting on luck, right? Like, what's
Yep,
that? And everybody knows you count on luck. That's an iffy kind of thing. That's not having your power. That's giving up your power. If you're sitting in that chair waiting for things to happen, you have totally given your power away.
exactly.
You have now let it up to the universe and all the external powers of the world on what's going to happen to you. Like you've got no control over anything. I wouldn't be able to live like that.
No, I couldn't.
I mean, I may only be a cog in the machine, but I'm a moving cog. Like, I'm not gonna be like one of those like frozen cogs just doing nothing. Like, nope.
Just waiting to get put into position.
No, I definitely want to be one of the moving cogs in the situation.
Exactly.
Mm.
The
What
next
do you?
one, number
Oh,
4.
okay.
Oh, sorry. What were you going to
I
say?
if that irks you so much, that saying, like, do you feel like you need to educate somebody that says it to you?
No, I just generally ask them when is waiting ever actually gotten something done.
That's addressing it. Okay, that does it. Like, okay, it's a good answer. Actually, that's a good response. Yeah.
Okay. The fourth one, the detached mind, playing the infinite game. Central to the chapter is the concept of emotional liquidity. Green cites 50 Cent's partnership with Vitamin Water. When critics mocked his equity stake, he ignored the noise, netting $100 million at Coca-Cola's acquisition. This mirrors Stoic philosopher Epictetus's mantra: "We control our actions, not outcomes." Fearlessness here is not attachment. Is non-attachment, investing fully in the process while surrendering the prize.
Mm-hmm. Like knowing when you've achieved the goal and that it's reached the point where keeping it the same isn't going. It's gonna
It's
die. It's gonna die.
what
It's reached its peak, so to
it's
speak.
to me. It's I see this as basically saying, "Que sera sera," like whatever will be will be. You can. It's important to be calculating about how you invest certain in certain things, regardless of what it is, whether it's money, time, effort. You, but but when you do invest it, you know, hope for the best.
Right.
Do as much as you can to make the best outcome happen, but absolutely still prepare for the worst.
And also being willing to walk away.
Accept it.
Yeah. In this case, the detached mind, it's kind of like a business thing too. For 50 Cent, it was all, I'm going to build an empire. I'm going to get to the top of the hill. And he had to put himself in a mindset that he would create all these babies. Like, he was the head of Vitamin Water. He created a great company. Like, he did the whole thing. That's an awesome achievement. But is that all he wants to be? So he just wants to make it more a notch on his belt. Like, he did it, he accomplished it, he learned all about it. Now you sell it for max worth and move on. Dropped it. He no longer has anything to do with it. Done. It's the Coca-Cola owns it now. Their problem, right? Now, like, but being able to give it up. Let me put it on a little more personal note for you. Are you ready? As an artist, as a creative artist, working on an art piece or a piece of music, it's yours. It's personal. You're creating it, right?
Absolutely.
Now you got to give it away. In order to get recognition for it, in order for it to grow, you got to sell it to somebody. And now you don't have anything to do with it anymore. Like that. Just like being willing to be detached enough with some of the goals that you have. Like, this is the end goal up here. So your goal is to be a successful artist, to have your art be coveted, have your music wanted by millions. You may need to give parts of it away and let others have control of things so that you can further that goal to the top. You need to be detached enough from that process to be able to do that, and that's not easy for a lot of people.
No, the hardest thing
Right.
to do with anything that you create is kind of having to force yourself not to care. Forcing yourself to like, it's I've made this piece, that's take it or leave it.
Yep. It's the non-attachment of it. And it's very, very hard. I mean, even as simple as making the best banana bread and then having to take it over the neighbor as a welcome gift, and give it just the non-attachment to the banana bread itself, that it can move on and be a kind gesture to somebody else. Like, you need to give it away for it to do its thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that. I mean, something as simple as that, but the non-attachment to it. Because if we keep all of these things that we are successful at and all, they are stepping stones, and we have to keep reusing them. It's not like if you only keep the one, you don't have room for all the rest. Like, you don't keep growing. So that non-attachment is probably one of the hardest but most valuable steps in keeping your power and gaining your power in any situation. Being able to walk away from something gives you more power than ownership.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Being able to weigh it for what it actually is and how it actually affects your life, or could be a part of your life or not a part of your life. Yeah, it's great, it's there. But if it leaves, I'm going to be just fine. I'll do this, I'll do that. You know what I mean? That gives you
Exactly.
such strength and power in yourself, not being beholden to the situation or the item. You know what I mean? Or not being beholden to the situation. You needed to work a certain way, not being beholden to the item. You needed to be like this, perfect, or that, because
I
life doesn't
find
work that way.
I find doing that is actually a very good exercise for helping with creativity. With if you can just remind yourself that this is just one piece of art, or one piece of one thing that you're going to be making throughout your life.
Mhm.
and you allow yourself to sort of detach from it, it becomes easier to create, to make more out of it. I find when I start to actually try and think about what I'm doing, or I tend to overthink it. I tend to end up overcomplicating it in my own head to the point where I can't even move forward with it at all.
No, we can get in our own way that way. That's why the non-attachment is, like you say, so important, and just keep practicing it in little things, Well, yeah, what are we on, 4 now? Is it 4 or 5?
And now
5.
we're on to the last
5.
one.
Okay.
The Sublime synthesis, becoming ungovernable. Green concludes with the principle fearlessness as self-sovereignty. He retraces 50 Cent's shift from artist to entrepreneur, launching G-Unit clothing while rivals fixated on album sales. This mirrors Renaissance polymath Leon Abitasta Abesta.
Leon Battista Alberti.
Batista.
Yeah, Battista.
Batista Alberti. Why was I throwing the A and the B? Can you tell that I'm kind of dyslexic?
You jumped ahead to the next word. Yeah. It's
Leon Battista Alberti, who said,
wait, say that in Italian, because you do it better in Italian. Look at it and say it in Italian.
Leon Nope, can't do it.
You're so good, usually, but yeah, it is definitely Italian.
Battista Alberti, who said, "A man can do all things if he wills." The chapter's crescendo. True power lies not in dominating others, but in rendering yourself immune to external control.
There it is, right there. They can do whatever they want. You can only control you. Take your power.
Exactly.
They do whatever they're going to do. It's how you react to it, how you use what they do, right? How you know what they're going to do, but don't give them any internal power over you. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
that hits home. That was a lesson that's so hard to learn. Well,
absolutely.
I might have known it very well in my real life, in business and family. But when it came to social out here on the webs, or whatever you want to call it, these social thing out here, that was the hardest thing for me to wrap my head around. But I'm still learning. I'm not perfect, but I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, but I think that's a very valuable lesson, especially out here, because we are out here on the socials. I mean,
absolutely.
Like this is YouTube, Twitch, Kick. Like this is like X. All the little Discord groups. All the little communities that we're in. But that one right there about it's not about dominating others. It's but in rendering yourself immune to external control, like the things that control us to do things that we don't really want to do, the pressures, reacting to what others do. When it's really, what importance is it in our goals and in our life and in what we want to do? Like
exactly,
like the heckler in the chat, a troll in the chat, or a heckler on stage. You have the choice to own the situation, control them or ignore them, but the choice is yours. Like, you don't let them dictate what you're going to do. They can't force you to react. They can't.
Nope.
Right? Like, they can sit there, they get themselves butt naked, yell at the top of the mountain, do whatever the hell they want. Name call, spit, throw things, whatever. They can't force you to react. Only you can be the response. Like only you have total control over that. That's where your power
Exactly.
lies. That's where your power lies. In if
How
you
you
need
respond to stuff.
exactly, and if you need to, in reminding them that you have the power by not
Hmm.
reacting. Don't give them what they want: attention, a platform, making you feel bad,
Or just as equally as powerful as actually just completely taking control of the situation and showing them that they don't have control at all, that they
hmm
never had control.
like the heckler who gets heckled
Mm-hmm.
back by the
Yep.
star on stage,
Mm-hmm.
or the troll that gets completely ignored by
Yep.
everybody in chat and everybody on the stream, but it's just like they don't
Yep.
even exist because they want attention so much. Yeah, like just be, and then here's the key is that you have to take accountability for your response. You have to
Mm-hmm.
understand that once you engage, that's you engaging. That you're part of it now. You're it. And so taking accountability for whether you give your power back or can be the biggest thing. It can being part of it can actually be an empowering to you as long as you are taking accountability for all of these actions and being responsible,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging your part in stuff and where you're coming from, because that's a big part of this whole book is knowing you and how you're moving in the world, knowing how what you are doing is either gaining your power back or using your power or releasing your power to others.
Yes, exactly.
See, I paid attention, Rekkr. Are you so proud of me? It was a good lesson. It was a wild ride though so far.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a wild ride.
Mm-hmm.
I guess though, to be fair, what do they say? Uh, Once you've learned what you need to, it's not actually the end of what you're doing, but the beginning of something next.
Yep, it is because everything's a building block. I believe that every lesson we learn prepares us for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Cool. So why does this matter? Why does this chapter matter?
Well, in an age of distraction, Chapter 10 is a battle cry for strategic ruthlessness. Green isn't advocating brutality, he is teaching how to weaponize focus. For 50 Cent, survival meant mapping Queen's drug corridors to avoid ambushes. For you, it might mean auditing your vulnerabilities, toxic relationships, stagnant habits, or cowardly compromises. Uh, the chapter's ultimate challenge is this: will you die a death of inches eroded by petty fears, or ignite a fearless urgency that bends reality? Green leaves no ambiguity. As 50 Cent proved, bullets and betrayal are mere data points for those who have mastered the fearless calculus. So yeah, so ask yourself,
Absolutely.
where are you negotiating with fear instead of drafting its terms? What would change if you viewed every obstacle as a mixtape to distribute, every enemy as and every enemy as a Rubicon to cross? The chapter's answer, however, is clear. The fear, the fearless own their story because they write it in real time. Um, and echo 50 Cent's words echo very well. Fear made me a strategist. Ambition made me a threat. Chapter
Mm,
10 is your blueprint to becoming both.
exactly. Wow.
Hmm.
That mm,
Very poignant.
very poignant. Excellent. Excellent job. Now, for those of you following along, and the link is in the description. If anybody wants to read these chapters, remember we only read the story and do an extrapolation and a review. So he always puts it in several parts. The hustler's metamorphosis, like the hustler's view, which is the 50 Cent's story, word for word, everything he did. And then they go into the fearless approach, which we just covered. And then it goes to the keys to that fearlessness, which is always the concepts of the chapter and actually how to get there, what they mean by it, breaking it down into little explanations on, this is a chapter facing death, achieving the sublime. That's what it's called, right? How are we
Mm-hmm.
supposed to do that? How do you face your mortality? What are the keys? How do you do it? Like, show us some examples of it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this quote and then it's all you, boo. You're gonna have to read every single one because you can hear my voice is
I can
like
do
ready
that.
to go. Yeah. Thank you so much. So for all of you, the keys to fearlessness. When we start about the steps, there's a quote here from Richard Wright. There seems to hover somewhere in that dark part of all our lives an objectiveless, timeless, spaceless element of primal fear and dread, stemming perhaps from our birth. A fear and dread which exercises an impelling influence upon our lives. And accompanying this first fear is, for the want of a better name, a reflex urge towards ecstasy, complete submission, and trust. Richard Wright. Hmm.
So, the synthesis of rebirth, uh, fearlessness as a strategic mindset. Uh, these keys interlock to create what Green terms sublime fearlessness. Rebirth enables adaptability, the evanescence drives action, awe fuels innovation, and oceanic thinking embeds purpose. Modern example shows these are not passive traits, but disciplines, practiced daily by those shaping industries and movements. So, the first one, the sense of rebirth, the explanation is embracing radical reinvention by shedding past identities and elimination and eliminations to forge a new, self-determined path. Green frames this as death of the ego to enable fearless evolution. The example, Taylor Swift, transitioned from country star to global pop icon with 1989 in 2014, dismissing her Nashville sweetheart persona by embracing synth pop and autobiographical storytelling. She tripled her audience and redefined modern music marketing. She really did. I mean,
Yes,
she's one of the biggest pop stars in the entire world now. Like,
because she wasn't afraid to go against the label of what people thought she was.
mm-hmm.
I mean, she was Nashville's sweetheart. She had it made. She had all the connections. She had it. She had it. She
Yeah,
didn't have
she could have
right.
lived just like that.
But here it is. Like she wasn't just that. She knew it.
Nope.
That's what
Mm-hmm.
people just thought she was, and she just went, "Nope, I could do more," and she did. You know, and I got to give her a lot of creativity because in the essence, you got to kill. I got to use some horrible language here. You have to kill what people think of you to actually be who you are. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like you do. You gotta you have to just push all that aside. What people think you are, because that's a limitation. If that's not all
Mm-hmm.
you are, you need to go forward. So she nearly had to bury that country thing. Do no country, bury it. Don't take any more easy gigs in Nashville. Kind of disown the whole thing, walk away to be able to do this. And now she's able to embrace it back and do a little bit of it here and there and remember her roots. But she had to totally just kill it. Just like,
Yeah.
nope, that's not it anymore. And leave it behind. She had to practice, what do you say, that non-attachment and be
Yep.
able to rise up because the pop, synth pop genre is totally
Is
different totally different music producers, totally different record companies, totally different audience, totally different platform to use it on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same at all. It's totally different. And she was like out of her element. She had no,
Exactly.
besides being famous as country, that was actually a stigma to getting into
Mm-hmm.
this. That's why she had to kill it. Like, nope,
And
done. Yeah.
and she did get a lot of backlash for it as well from changing that. And that will happen whenever you do something like that. Whenever you want to make a good or a significant change in your life for the better, things will, you know, people might there will be people who will react negatively to it. There will be things that do react negatively to it, just in general.
She lost a lot of her country fans. Some of them moved over, but she gained a
Mm-hmm.
whole audience. Like, she gained an audience that fit her better for who she was in the moment. You know. But,
Exactly.
but that's why it's like a rebirth. It's just
Mm-hmm.
a shedding of a skin. And what was that? The thing that we talked about, the growing and the changing of personalities, like fitting in around us. We're learning and absorbing all of this all around us all the time. You don't stay the same.
No.
And it's okay to embrace that. It's okay to
Mm-hmm.
embrace the change of it. Don't be afraid of it, you know.
You'll grow from it. You'll do better.
Mhm. We have even more examples. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sense of rebirth. A good example is Louis C.K. from from scandalized comedian to independent content creator. After admitting to sexual misconduct allegations in 2017, Louis C.K. abandoned mainstream platforms to self-produce and distribute comedy specials like Sincerely Louis C.K. In 2020 and Sorry in 2021. By circumventing traditional studios and leveraging direct-to-consumer sales, he reclaimed creative and autonomy. His 2023 Grammy win for Sincerely underscored how dismantling institutional uh, depend- dependencies can forge unexpected paths, albeit aimed ongoing ethical debates about accountability and artistic reinvention.
But here's the thing. Like, he admitted what he did, and everybody
Mm-hmm.
tried to blackball him. They go, "Oh, okay. Well, you did that, so now you're not marketable. Like, we don't want you." Like, no,
Yeah.
that's gonna be difficult. You don't fit the program anymore. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Well, damn, burn the program." And okay, that Louis C.K. is dead. Welcome to this one. That,
Exactly.
yeah, like, this is like, yeah, I did it and I took accountability for it. Like, I give him a lot of credit, like, for that. Why shouldn't he be able to still be a creative force out here? He's not hiding anything. He's not causing anybody
Nope.
any damage. He's actually a great example of take accountability and rebuild. And he's rebuilding without all the usual suspects. Everybody abandoned him because of it. They don't want to touch him. Yeah, you know.
Mm,
So make your own brand. Be the guy behind the scenes until you can actually be the guy. And he was. And he actually just sold it direct to the consumer. Consumers want it because most people can adult. I can say that I like his comedy. I don't like what he did, but he took accountability. But I still like him, his art. I can still listen to him as a comedian. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like, I would listen to him more because he did take accountability. He's not like these people that do all this stuff and then have to be charged with it, and somebody has to drag them to court or drag them, to try to take accountability, and then they fight against it for years. Like, nope, not me. Nope, not me. And then they get found guilty. Yep, it was you. That's different. Okay, that's a different kind of habit of rebirth. He at least
Yeah,
took control of his rebirth. He acknowledged it and changed. And I got to give him a
exactly.
credit. And especially because now he talks about the ethical debates of accountability and artistic reinvention. And I think that's a big topic. Marilyn Manson, Danny Masterson, Louis C.K., Kevin Spacey. right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at Russell Brand. Ooh, oh, oh,
Yep.
you know, but other things too. Tupac had to do it from thug to artist and thug again, like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And 50 Cent from thug to mega businessman, you know,
Exactly.
to mega empire. Okay, that rebirth. We can all do it in some way. We have to pick ourselves up and change the
Yeah.
situation sometimes. Yep.
And it is like I talk about a lot. It is taking that accountability in what you've done,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what it is.
Yep. Here's another one.
Okay. Wesley Snipes, action star to nuanced character actor. Following a 2010 prison sentence for tax evasion, Snipes abandoned his Blade era typecasting as as a martial arts icon. He as a martial arts icon. He reemerged in 2019 with a critically acclaimed role in Dolomite Is My Name, playing flamboyant actor Du Urville Martin. This pivot to character-driven performances continue with Coming to America in 2021 and the series The Expendables in 2023, showcasing Green's principles of strategic humility, using fallibility as fuel for artistic evolution. Snipes' resurgence demonstrates how rebirth often requires confronting and repurposing public perception.
Mm-hmm. Like confronting what people think about what happened and what you did, not hiding
Mm-hmm.
it, right? And also for him, actually, just just the fact that everybody thought that all he could do was the martial arts thing, Blade. He was
Yeah.
awesome in
He
Blade.
was awesome in Blade. Like
Like,
let's
yeah,
let's be honest here. When someone says Blade, you think Wesley Snipes. You can
exactly.
it's just you can't think of anyone else other than Wesley Snipes.
Yep. And it was such a character. But do you want to be known for that? If you're an actor, like you have to
Oh
say,
no. It's one of the worst things for actors is to be recognized as one particular character. Like the Red Bradcliffe, what's his name? Uh I only remember his last name, Radcliffe. Harry Potter.
oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's it, and that's all he's
is
ever
yeah,
gonna be able to
exactly
do. Yeah,
him. You say Harry Potter, you know exactly who I'm talking about. You say
Snape,
his name, it's
right?
huh?
Was it Snape?
No, Harry Potter.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Daniel.
Daniel
Daniel.
Radcliffe. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah, you don't not. There's a lot of people that if you say Daniel Radcliffe to them, they won't know who you're talking about. You say Harry Potter, everyone knows who Harry Potter is.
Yeah, so you
Everyone and
walk in for the interview or for the to read for the part, and they're like, "Oh, Harry Potter!" Like that's all they think, and they're like, "No,
mm-hmm,
this isn't for you. There's no wizards in it." Right? Like, they're just getting prejudged. But
exactly.
here's where the non-attachment comes in, right? You got to give it away. It might be the best thing you're known for, and you got to walk away from it. Don't want nothing to do with it anymore. Not signing any more Harry
Mm-hmm.
Potter deals. I'm not going to be the face of Blade anymore. I'm not going to take any merchandise deals, anything. I'm not going to do another Blade movie. Walk away from it and become something else. You know,
Exactly.
it has to be hard. You know.
Oh yeah, especially considering like if you there is a lot of perks to being typecast. Like you like if there is a role that's needed that fits you, you absolutely get thought of first. But I guess you got to decide whether your typecasting is going to be in your benefit or to your detriment.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And also with the repurposing of public perception, when there's been a transgression or you've done something wrong, or even the perceived notion you've done something wrong. Taylor Swift, she walked away from Nashville. Louis C.K., he admitted to some misconduct. Snipes, he goes to prison for tax evasion. These are all public perceptions you did something wrong. So now you're rebuilding. You decide you don't want to try to get back what you had. You want to rebuild. Now you got the public perception that they don't see you because you failed, because of this other thing. And you've got to actually face that you're not failing. You're working on changing, reproving, and the rebirth, and just being able to emerge through it on the other end. The whole time having to deal with all that chatter, all that pushback, all that negativity of, yeah, well, of course you failed because it is, like, and that's why we don't see you anymore. They don't know that you're working on this whole rebirth thing, and you've got to like push all that down just to be able to focus on moving forward and really putting everything you have into the new goal, what you want for yourself. I would imagine that was a hard part, for all of them, Well, there's nobody back there cheering you on, they're not.
No.
They're not cheering for you. They think you've already failed. It's in their mind that you've already failed because of this,
The next one is Johnny Depp, blockbuster actor to behind-the-scenes auditor. Author. Post 2022 defamation trial, Depp shifted from leading roles to directing model in 2024, a biopic co-produced with Al Pacino. By establishing his European production company IN2, he prioritized art housing projects over Hollywood franchises, mirroring Green's advocacy for creative sovereignty. Depp's collaborations with artists like British sculptor Dave RJ further reflected rebirth through multidisciplinary exploration, transforming personal turmoil into expanded artistic horizons.
He still does acting roles, but he's more behind the scenes now. He's writing. He's actually, when he's on a movie now, auteur means like, it's like the author of the movie. He's not only the actor in the movie, he's directing the character himself. He's got input with the writers, the directors, everybody, into how everything's going to play out and what the big picture is going to end up looking like. He's no longer just an actor. When he is contracted to do a film, you're getting more than just the actor, and you have to deal with that. He ain't taking the film unless you give him a voice, unless he can be the auteur. That's who he is now. Now, that was hard to do after the defamation trial. Like, he was working on that before, and then the defamation trial and all that slander and all that, like, losing all those deals. Now he makes sure everything he takes, he's got control of. He works with people. He co-produced. He puts his own money in with Al Pacino to do Mardai. He established his own production company to produce films for other actors to be in, that he has total control over. Developed his art. He has a whole art house project that many people don't know about Johnny Depp as an artist, but he really is into actual art. Some of his best friends are artists, like Isaac that we saw in the trial. He really wants to support people, and he has been, making shows and collaborating with other artists all over the world now as side stuff. But he's just turned his creativity into multiple different aspects now. He's probably living a much more satisfied life now after this rebirth.
Absolutely.
Because he lost a 30-year career over a defamation suit.
And
he
some good sheets.
Okay. You got me. And some good sheets. Yeah. But he won. Yeah.
But he won. Exactly.
He won. And he's still winning. That's the point of rebirth. He's still winning. Yes.
So the second part is the sense of evanescence and urgency. The explanation is leveraging awareness of life's transience to act decisively. Avoid complacency and avoid complacency. Green ties this to coveting existential anxieties into productive, converting existential anxiety into productive momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Example: Brian Casey, Airbnb CEO. Action: shifted to long-term rentals and virtual experiences during COVID-19 in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Urgency: the urgency with bookings down 72%, he slashed 25% staff and overhauled the platform in 11 days. The impact was revenue rebounded to 8.4 billion by 2023, surpassing pre-pandemic levels.
Yep, because what he had was a whole bunch of rentals, and he had a crisis on his hands with COVID. Nobody was allowed to go anywhere. So once you were allowed to go someplace, or he could actually create these environments to where you could still be on your own, and he marketed that way and gave everybody virtual experiences, able to look inside to all of these places to get ready, which was novel. He did the virtual tours, right, and all of that you could sign up with. Um, he had to change his whole company. Look what he did. He had to. Can you imagine being in a business that people have to come to when COVID was going on? I mean,
Yeah,
72% is nothing. Some people lost 100%, right?
yeah.
But he slashed staff, he overhauled the platforms, and then he was ready for when they came to visit. People knew the places they wanted to see, knew what was in the area, would come and stay a night, one night, two night. He made it possible for you to get out and celebrate for a day and then come back. And you knew what you were going to get because of these virtual experiences, you know. And also the long-term rentals were more like package deals where they had all of the activities in the area, the tours, everything like coming along with it when they call the long-term rentals. Because Airbnb was just like you rented in somebody's like a place for like overnight if you were staying in a city or you had a business trip or you were taking a vacation, and it was a cheaper way than getting a big hotel that was really, really expensive. But nobody could do that anymore. Nobody could
Nope.
like go and stay in somebody's house. You couldn't be around other people. Like you could like, you know, you just it just didn't work anymore. He had to reinvent the whole thing. You gotta give him credit.
The next one is close is quite close to me as it is. Is Jacinda Ardern, former New Zealand Prime Minister. Ardern enforced one of the earliest COVID-19 lockdowns in March 2020, stating, "We have a tiny window to act. New Zealand's 26 total deaths per million by 2022 showcases how urgency and crisis governance can outpace viral spread."
You guys have the best record for the least amount of deaths per millions in population because
Yep.
she wasn't afraid of the backlash of
No.
everybody screamed bloody murder when they had to shut down.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
she shut
Absolutely.
everything down, right?
She did. She
Early.
acted hard. She
Mhm.
went in hard and fast.
And look at
And
all the lives that in New Zealand that were saved.
yep. And
They could,
how well we did.
yeah.
I mean, our
Without
economy did take a big hit for it, and that's
everyone's
true. But
did, but yours
yeah.
bounced back better because yours bounced back with a greater population to pull the weight.
Mm-hmm.
Not as many people suffering from the loss, right? I mean,
Yep.
you bounced back. Things did survive. But that has a combination of things. Also, the way your economy works itself, you've got more health for people. Like, I'd have to say New Zealand, all governments can't help 100%. But
No.
I would say New Zealand has a more people first kind of attitude.
We
I
do
do.
have a very people first attitude
Yeah.
in New Zealand.
I mean, there is help available. And during COVID, there was plenty of it. I'm sure you understand. You couldn't work, right? But you could still keep a roof over your head. You still ate every day. Like,
Yep.
and so that's the thing. What I mean, that they're people first. They did put whole programs in place and made things easier for people if they had to stay home, if they were going to lose work, this, that, and the other thing. They offered the businesses ways to survive also. Like, she didn't just shut everything down. She shut everything down and worked on keeping everything going at the same time for everybody,
Exactly.
so that everybody could be there when they could open back up.
Mhm.
But yeah, and she didn't really care what anybody had to say about it either.
Nope.
Yeah, I
She was
kind
a
of
hard
like.
ass like that.
I kind of like her. The more I'm learning about her, the more I like about her. She's not the first time we've used her as an example. You know.
No. The next example is Stephanie Barnsill. During COVID-19, this is a very COVID-19
You know
part, isn't
why?
it?
Because does that not stick out in your memory? Doesn't everyone that
Yeah.
we're talking to in every country have a reference point here for that?
Yep.
And
There was a sense of urgency in that, a very
and
real
it's
sense of urgency.
right. And in this chapter is about accepting mortality. When is it
Mm-hmm.
in you and I and everybody in the chat and everybody that's listening later? What is the biggest mortality issue we faced in this so far in this century? It was that outbreak. It
Yep.
was global. It wasn't just like here in America. It wasn't just in New Zealand. It was everywhere. We all faced it together. So in facing mortality, the fact that we're all going to die eventually, we all have to face that
Mm-hmm.
together too. I think it just kept coming up because it was the relatable issue in this for now that we're all dealing with. We're still dealing with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But during COVID-19's onset, Barnsill first fast-tracked mRNA vaccine development, compressing 10 years of research into 10 months. By treating the pandemic as a now or never moment, Moderna delivered 807 million vaccine doses in 2021, saving an estimated 19.8 million lives. His urgency redefined pharmaceutical innovation timelines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They
that
removed some of the safety nets, not all of them. They just had to
it was
reprioritize.
a huge risk.
Yeah, but they had
It
to
was a big
reprioritize.
gamble.
Yeah. But they
Mm,
developed a fairly safe vaccine very quickly.
mm-hmm.
So, go to give them credit for that. They did save millions of lives. They really did. Were there problems? Absolutely, there are. There's
Oh,
always going to be
always.
problems. Yep.
Mm-hmm. The next one is sense of awe. Explanation, cultivating wonder towards life's complexity to dissolve fear-based thinking. Green positions awe as a tool for dissolving ego and accessing creativity. The example, one of my favorite, well, I
She's
guess
your lifelong
zoologists.
crush. She's your lifelong crush. Yes.
Yeah. Dr. Jane Goodall, her 60-year chimpanzee study began with awe for animal intelligence, reshaping primatology by documenting tool use and social bonds. She redefined human-animal relationships.
Hmm. And that sense of awe was her love of them, the chimpanzee. Just actually
Mm-hmm.
her fascination with everything the chimpanzees did. And just
Exactly.
finding all beauty, inspiration, creativity in every part of it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Eh, like passion for it. You know.
Yeah. That's always it's a great way to stay motivated, is always trying to find something that sort of makes you go, oh wow, whenever you do something.
Hmm.
And that's
those
really hard to do on a
well,
regular basis.
well, appreciating the little things, nature, just like the opening of a flower bud, or the way the life of the honeybee, like anything,
Hmm.
just the awe for life in general, the small things,
How
can.
small we are compared to the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. The next one is
Berners-Lee. Did I
the
move
next
it?
one.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Berners-Lee. So Berners-Lee
Mm-hmm.
invented the World Wide Web, 1989, driven by awe, decentralized knowledge sharing. His open source ethos, rejecting patents, enabled the internet's democratization.
Mm-hmm. In other words, making it open for everybody, like making a platform
Exactly.
for everybody to
Having
use.
information freely available. Now
Mm-hmm.
we unfortunately don't have that as much at the now, because there's been a lot more regulation, and for good reason, very good reason. But we still have access to more information than ever before in the entire
Mm-hmm.
in Earth's actual existence.
Yeah, but if he hadn't left that open source and didn't patent it and let everybody use it, none of the other systems they wouldn't be talking to each other. At
Nope.
least with this, we have a centralized area to bring it all together. Yes, you may have to purchase this or purchase that. Not everything's free. However, we have a central place to find it all. He
Mm-hmm.
created he created the open source ethos that actually allows us to use search engines, to actually just dial out into a place where everything we can find almost anything. You should know this. You
Mm-hmm.
can find anything. You find anything. I just go, hey Rek, I need this, and boop, there it is. You find it. I don't know how, because of what he did. You're able to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Before he did this, you couldn't do that. You couldn't. Mm.
Yep. And then the next one, Dr. Jennifer Donder
Mm-hmm. Don't know. Yeah.
co-developed CRISPR gene editing after marveling at bacterial immune systems. Her 2012 breakthrough, inspired by microbial molecular scissors, revolutionized bloom bloom bio
Biomedicine.
biomed. Why did I say
I know what,
biomedicine?
because the way the type is, those eyes look a little bit Ellie. I see the
Mm,
problem there.
and
Like,
the L's get mixed me up.
oh,
But it,
this was a
no,
big
the CRISPR.
scientific ring. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole CRISPR thing was a huge breakthrough in genetics and
Mm-hmm.
gene editing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's
it's given us opportunities, like to do some really insane things. Unfortunately,
Dr. Moreau.
there is some
Yeah.
there are some parameters that scientists have to stay within for good reason. Let's not
Yes.
have let's not have
An
uh
island, Dr.
Dr.
Moreau.
Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation
Yeah.
going on.
Do you know the Dr. Moreau Island where he made all the freaks and put them? Yeah.
I think I've heard that one before. I don't.
Yeah. It's an old movie.
Yeah, but yes, it has opened up huge avenues for better medications and better treatments for a lot of different genetic issues.
Nothing ever stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last one, number 4.
Is sense of Oceanic. Explanation: transcending individualism by connecting to universal struggles, transforming fear into purpose. Green links this to historical leaders who tied personal missions to collective liberation. A good example is Brian Stevenson, found the Equal Justice Initiative in 1989, linking wrongful convictions to systematic racism. His National Memorial for Peace and Justice in 2018 contextualizes lynching as foundational to U.S. inequality.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's because they only used it. When lynching was a thing, there was only one population that got lynched in the whole justice system. Only one.
Yep.
It's a profound black mark on our system, but he actually brought it to light and did a whole foundation for everybody else to be able to benefit from the injustice in wrongful convictions and stuff.
Another one, like we had mentioned before, the honeybee crisis, a systematic case study. The situation was since 2006, colony collapse disorder, or colony collapse. I was going to say, doesn't matter. Colony collapse disorder, CCD. That's China. That's a completely different set of letters. It has wiped out 30% of US bee colonies annually, threatening 75% of global food crops. Oceanic connection. Pollinators are keystone species. Their death signals breakdowns in soil health, pesticide regulation, and climate stability. Organizations like the Pollinator Partnership deploy bee-friendly farming certifications, urging farmers to plant wildflowers and reduce chemical impact. Over 15 million acres of farmland now supports pollinator habits, boosting yields by 24% in partnered farms. This illustrates Green's principle. Solving systematic crisis requires seeing oneself as part of the hive. And it does.
It does. We start recognizing a problem that affects us individually, but also the whole world. Like, definitely. Because even now, like even in my own garden, I always have a pollinator garden part. I couldn't grow anything, not even tomatoes without the honeybees. Nothing. Hardly anything self-pollinates itself except for maybe blueberries. I don't know. But you need the honeybee. They're great pollinators. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, moths do a little bit and some other insects do a little bit, but it's the honeybee that does the major work. The major work in it. And when they started to disappear, that was a big panic. A big panic. Because what is a world if you can't feed the people? You think of what grows that you don't pollinate.
We'd have to start manually pollinating.
We do have greenhouse things. We do have greenhouses to do that. But,
we do. Yeah.
But I mean, does it taste the same? I mean, you've tasted a hothouse tomato, right?
Yeah, they do have their own sort of.
Oh, I forget.
Flavor.
You've never had a Jersey tomato, so.
No, I haven't had a Jersey tomato. I've had New Zealand tomatoes. They are very good.
Okay. Grown out and like really ripened on the vine and not in the greenhouse. But yeah, this was a good example.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's more. Yeah.
Open source communities, Linux, and collaborative coding. The situation is led by Linus Torvalds. Linux's open source ecosystem thrives on shared code and decentralized innovation. The connection is developers contribute to a digital commons, treating software as a public good. This ethos powers 90% of cloud infrastructure and 100% of supercomputers, proving collaboration outcompetes siloed systems. The impact is Linux underpins a $25 billion open source economy, democratizing tech access.
without Linux, I mean, a lot of people, Linux motivates and is used more in science and technology more than
Oh,
any other.
absolutely.
Yeah, we've got
Because
Apple,
it's much easier to
Microsoft,
it's
right?
much easier to program with. That's
Exactly.
as long as you understand what to do, because oof,
Mhm.
I've seen people who use Linux and they're a special breed of person. They're a special kind of strange.
But also, it being open platform, it allows that
It
use to
lends
learn
itself
to
to
do it. It
such
lends itself
great
to
innovation.
great innovation, exactly. Because
Mm,
it's collaborative. Everybody can contribute. Like you cannot contribute to Apple technology in any way, right?
nope.
And even with Microsoft, it's very limited how you can contribute, right?
And it's very limited to how you can actually interact with it.
hmm Making both of those systems as customizable as they say they are, they have great limitations. But with Linux being open source, customization towards what you need as far as a
Is
company or business
absolutely
innovation
endless.
is endless. Exactly. You can go as far
Hmm.
with it. So like, that one is for the greater good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. Here you go.
And then another one is Paul statements.
Stammet.
Mycelium Stamets. Sorry.
Mhm,
Mycelium and ecosystem revival. Situation facing biodiversity collapse. Mycologist Paul Stamets leverages fungi to detoxify soil and restore habitats. The connection is Stamets views mycelial networks as Earth's organic internet, connecting trees, plants, and microbes to his company. Uh, uh, connecting trees, plants, and microbes. His company, Fungi Perfecti, deploys mushrooms to break down pollutants, e.g., oil spills in the Amazon, demonstrating how local actions repair global systems. The impact of of 150,000 acres of contaminated land restored since 2008, pro- proving ecological problems require symbiotic solutions. And
mhm,
something that a lot of people don't realize is that mushrooms, even though you don't see them very often, are pretty much everywhere.
mhm,
You you are just like a spider. You're not very far away from a mycelium network.
mhm.
And in fact, the largest organism in the world is is actually a mushroom.
It's the mycelium. Yeah.
It's the mycelium network. I can't remember exactly where it is, uh, but it's like I think it's like 100,000 acres or something. It's but it's gigantic, and mushrooms are absolutely needed. So for those that like pull out the mushrooms in their garden, please stop. It's doing you a favor. It's
Mhm.
actually helping
Here's
you a lot.
here's the thing that I learned just recently is the mycelium is around and we don't see it all the time doing what it does, spreading and feeding off the soils and the nutrients and helping with decomposition and all of that before the mushroom even grows. Like the mushroom
Hmm.
is like an end result of it, right? Like,
Yep, it's the fruiting
yeah,
body.
it's the fruiting body. Like the mycelium are working constantly. Like when you see a
Yep,
rotting, even if you don't see any mushrooms, you see a rotting piece of wood, there's mycelium everywhere there. You just don't see it.
absolutely.
You just can't see it. It's everywhere. When you smell that smell in the forest floor, that's the mycelium. Like that's
Yep, that musty smell
yeah.
during autumn. That's mycelium.
hmm In I found that to be like, you know, fascinating. I didn't realize that part of it. I thought it
Hmm.
started, I don't know why, but I always thought it started with the mushroom, but it doesn't. It ends with the mushroom.
Hmm.
That's like the end of it, and then the spores get released.
Exactly.
Get like it was pretty fascinating. But to turn that into having them cleaning systems in soils and decontaminating soils and stuff like that makes perfect sense, because just the cycle can go over and over again until it's clean, right? You just let the mycelium grow, blossom into the mushroom, grow again and again. Sooner or later, all of those toxins are out of the soil. All of that has been broken down and useful
Mm-hmm.
now in clean land again to grow things and to be able to use. I think it's fascinating. It's absolutely
Absolutely.
because before that, we treated these environmental toxins in areas that were contaminated and we recontaminated them with something else to get rid of it.
Yep.
And that just made a long-term problem. It just extended the problem. It made it a different problem. By using the mycelium, not only do they like correct the problem, organically, it leaves an end product that doesn't need anything else. Like, it almost returns it back to its original state,
Mm-hmm.
which wasn't
Yep.
was wasn't done before. So
Mm.
so
So these examples embodies Green's assertion that power flows to those who see beyond their individuality. Whether reviving fungi networks, coding open source ecosystems, or saving bees, their actions treat local problems as nodes in a global web. The honeybee crisis underscores the stakes. Survival depends on recognizing that no species or person thrives in isolation. In an age of climate collapse and AI dominance, the the oceanic mindset isn't philosophical, it's evolutionary.
I I
And
hear
it
that.
is.
I hear
Mm-hmm.
that because we are dealing with all of us, even individually, are dealing with the climate collapse in AI dominance. Like right here out on the socials, AI is becoming a whole big thing. Climate
Mm-hmm.
collapse, we feel it every day. No matter where you live in the world, your weather has changed. You have a different perception of what things used to be and how things are going. Weather has become more volatile. Things change. Whole species are disappearing, whole types of vegetation are no longer available. Like, sorry, like, it's here. Climate collapse is everywhere. We're all dealing with it in some different way. You know, Even if you don't recognize the climate collapse, you feel it in your energy bills. You need more air conditioning or heat, depending on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Colder temperatures are colder, hotter temperatures are hotter. You know,
Absolutely.
Yep. That's the instability of it. Well, we're all dealing with and AI dominance. Like everybody's using AI. I'm even using AI on a daily basis now.
Mm-hmm.
I use AI to do this stream to actually come up with some of the examples in research. I use it to
Exactly.
Yeah, because I took and this is when Rekkr won't talk to me about it. I talk to the AI. The AI talks back. Like I can have a conversation with the AI about it. Like, what about this? It'll give me examples and give me
Mm.
quotes and stuff like that. Yeah, but you're not replaceable, Rekkr. It's not that I'm going to replace you with AI or anything.
Oh, I know I'm not replaceable.
No, not that. No, not at all. Yeah.
Nothing's quite as humble as I am.
No, Mr. Humble. No, there's not. Yeah. They would replace the bear before they would replace you. But that brings us to the final part, like the reversal of perspective, which the book always does. It says you perceive mortality as this, but let me tell you how it really is. Let's turn it on it. Let's turn it and flip it into something useful for you. So it's gonna change the way we look at the fear of mortality. In our normal perspective, we see death as something diametrically opposed to life, a separate event that ends our days. As such, it is a thought that we must dread, avoid, and repress. But this is false, an idea that is actually born out of our fear. Life and death are inextricably intertwined, not separate. No one cannot exist without the other. From the moment we are born, we carry our death within ourselves as a continual possibility. If we try to avoid or repress the thought, keep death on the outside, we're cutting ourselves off from life as well. If we are afraid of death, then we're afraid of life. We must turn this
Mm-hmm.
perspective around, right? And face reality from inside, finding a way to accept and embrace death as part of being alive. Only from such a position can we begin to overcome the fear of our mortality and then all of the smaller fears that plague our lives. So, you face this one, all the other ones just fall into line. It gets easier. You know, you want to read his quote?
And the final quote is, for the final time, when I nearly died, it made me think, this can happen again any second. I better hurry and do what I want. I started to live like I never lived before. When the fear of death is gone, then nothing can bother you and nobody can stop you. 50 Cent.
Hmm.
And I think that's something that we could all use to motivate ourselves.
Yep. We all have an individual story, and
Mm-hmm.
we all have an individual story about that, about facing a long-term illness or an upheaval in our life where things just get turned upside down, a change in our financial situation, our living situation,
Mm-hmm.
our romantic situations, facing loss, I think this chapter out of all of them is the most relatable to everyone, no matter where
Mm.
you are in life or what you're doing, how no, what country you're in, how old you are, your financial status, your personal status, you can relate to this chapter. We are all face our mortality from day one. It is the fear of fears. That's it.
It
Like,
is.
it's the fear of fears. And so when they say if you conquer this one, you're well on the way to conquering all the other small ones. Like this does it for you.
Mm.
Thank you, Maggie. I'm glad you love this chapter because I love this chapter too. Like,
Mm.
although it's difficult because I don't want to think about it. I'm of a woman of a certain age and I don't like to think about the end. But it
No,
does put things in perspective that you want to make sure that every day you're getting up, you're doing what you want to do, or you're at least
exactly.
working towards what you want to do, that you are
Yep.
applying your purpose, putting your skills, your strength, your energy into keeping your power and using your power for the greater good, for yourself and for the others around you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I like this one a lot. But I'm
I
sad that
do.
there's no more chapters, though.
I know. That was the last one. We finished the book.
Yes, we did. We
Can you
have
believe it?
yeah. And we have one more stream though. Not next
Yes.
week, right? We're going to take next week off, I believe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna take uh yeah, next week off.
Mm. I don't know. Do we
And
need? We might need two. I don't know if we need one or two. We'll have to
yeah,
decide on that. But
we we'll aim for just next week off. But if we need more, because to be fair, I do have my exams coming up next week.
mhm,
Or my I think it's study week for me and
mhm.
then exams. So but I'm I think yeah, the week after next will be a good time.
Yep. No. So and then at that point we will do one more stream on the book, and it'll be like
Mhm.
questions and answers and a summation of the book. So bring your ideas, people. Bring what you want to talk about. If you have questions, please bring them. You can get on the back of any of the videos and leave a comment, or just when you come into the chat. But it's going to be like open discussion and
Yep.
kind of wrap it all up. Oh, this was an adventure, and
It was an absolute adventure.
yeah, it was. I'm so glad you brought it to me. And chill, I really feel that. Like sometimes she says sometimes having a healthy fear of death does help because now you want to like you don't want to die, you want to live. You want to live. Like
Mm,
you're not scared. You're scared of what will happen, for others and all. I get that. But you're at least living every day, right?
Mm,
Oh, I hear you, Maggie. She's been diagnosed almost 5 years with severe COPD. I lived in fear, but I have greatly improved because I quit smoking. And the doctor said, exactly. And you kind of appreciate, right? You kind of appreciate
mm-hmm.
knowing that things can be taken away, knowing that, it could be, you know, uh, there's so many stories like that when people come to the brink of death or have a life and death experience and then just have a greater appreciation of life in general, what they want, and take a
Yep.
reassessment of themselves. Here's the important part: that reassessment of yourself without the fear that death, like, it's there, but now you're not afraid of it because it's inevitable. You just accept it. We're all going to die one day. Okay, that's it. You just accept it, you move on, you reassess everything within yourself, and you make sure that you're doing what you want to do. You're moving forward the way you want to in the world. I hate to put it down to just success and failures, because everybody thinks business that way or ties it into a job or some kind of great accomplishment. But that's
Mm-hmm.
not what it's about. It's about the everyday stuff, right? It's about
Exactly.
moving at your own speed with your goals in mind, keeping your power in check, building it, building your skills, building your goals, moving forward, understanding what you want, and then applying it, how to get it. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
makes you happier, it gives you purpose, and the power gives you the strength to be able to accomplish it, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Well, I really enjoyed this.
I really enjoyed it too.
Mm. Thank you, Mrs.
And,
Cassandra. Yeah,
and I'm
she's
looking forward to continuing it, to be honest. Even
really. You have
seeing
another
how. Hmm?
you have another project in mind? I'm excited.
What do people think? Should we do the 48 laws? How do people feel about that? Do you reckon do you reckon we did this well enough to justify us continuing on with the actual 48 laws and looking at the genesis of this book?
Right. This one was a drilled down version of one man's life and how he kept his power with the 50th
Mm-hmm.
law, in kind of the steps that he used in his mindset. The 48 laws is actually each law on a philosophical level, um the life laws.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Shill. We appreciate it. Your home is jail. Maggie, that resonates with me. I was just saying that today, that I'm getting a little sick of the four walls of my room. Like lately,
Mm.
I feel like I need to break out. I do. I really do. I feel you. But sometimes we have to do what we have to stay here, to stay well. And so hopefully you won't have to stay there forever, Maggie. But I'll bet you,
Exactly.
I'll bet you acknowledging that and building your strength, you sure are going to appreciate it when you get to go outside your house. Those little things. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we get. You know,
Is there
but
anything that anyone wants us to go over about the 50th law in particular for our next stream,
that's a big
for the
question.
final stream of this
You'll
book?
forgive me. I'm getting this distracted by emojis because on Kick and Twitch, I have all these really great moving emojis, and like there's dancing bears and
You
fire
do.
the coffee. Like it shows playing with them in both and sending them up on me, and they keep catching my eye. But yeah, but yeah, I would appreciate that. It's free to subscribe to be a follower on Twitch and on Kick. That's what they call it over there. It's like subscribing. So we're just trying to build up. I think multi-platforming is something that everybody on YouTube's going to eventually have to do.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I find the audiences are getting limited very much on YouTube. It's a big, big platform, and eh, it's just I like it. I'm probably never going to leave YouTube. It's like my home, but it doesn't mean I don't want to travel and see the world. So, hello,
Mm.
Twitch and Kick. Here I come. I don't know if you're ready for me, but here I am. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's different, you know. Well, uh, it's yeah. Oh, I've had Rumble. It's just a place to store stuff, Mrs. Cassandra. Rumble's
Mm.
like, let's see, if you're living in a house, Rumble's like the basement. Like I just store stuff there because I don't go
It-
live there or anything. Yeah,
yeah, and it's one of those basements that you don't go down into. You just you throw shit down the stairs that go
yeah,
into it,
yeah.
and just piles at the bottom.
I've had Rumble for a while. When I started my YouTube channel, people told me Rumble's where YouTube goes to die. Like you have Rumble for when they cancel your channel and they threaten to delete all your content. It's just where you go store stuff. I don't know if it's actually a platform that people, participate in. I know you can have live chats and all of that. I've heard that, but I just don't go live over there. I don't. Yeah. So that's where you put me in the basement. No, your basement is a nice basement.
That's
It's
a
a
different
special.
basement.
That's not where things go to die. That's not where YouTube channels go to die. No, not in your basement. Your basement is full of life, lots of life. Like, yes, an
Making life,
appreciation of life. And yeah, like, definitely
or at least
energetic.
practicing making life.
Energetic. Well, what? There's a lot of practicing of small deaths down there. There's a lot of ecstasy in like living your best life. Yeah, let me just say that.
Yes.
How did we get on that, Mrs. C? Yeah.
But we've hit the 2 hour mark now, right on
Yes,
the dot. Well,
we
minute.
did. Yeah, we did.
Hmm.
Yep. I'm happy for you, Mrs. C. That should happen every day. Okay. It's good on you. Young and healthy. Yep.
Exactly.
All right. So
Well,
don't miss us
yeah,
too much next week, people, but we'll be back. And you
we will
know,
be back.
yeah, drop us a line on what you think about covering the 48th law, or perhaps there's something
Or maybe,
else you would like us to review and dissect for
yeah,
you. You
yeah.
know.
If we've done a good job with this book, if you think that we've done a good enough job with this book, suggest another book for us to take on.
Mhm. I was trying to think about what we actually do here. Like, how would we actually, explain it? You take a book that, well, there's no getting around it. It's the 50th Law is like one of those self-help genre kind of books, but not, right?
Mm.
It's kind of like, you know, we're kind of to give you all the help you didn't know you needed and you probably didn't want, kind of
But
thing. It's like, because it's really, I don't want to be like self-help genre or anything or act like we know anything.
no,
It's because it's all
it's all
subjective.
opinion.
Yeah, it's
Ultimately,
all
it is
subjective.
literally just our opinion. You
Yep.
you you, you figure it out. you you always need to think for yourself first and
Hmm.
foremost.
Hmm. And we just wanted to make it a broader topic of relatable to more people than just who
Mm.
you like, to show that the lessons in there are are able to be applied so on so many levels to your life. It's
Yeah, and it's not just a book. It it doesn't have to be looked at a book looked at like it doesn't have to be looked at like a book that's encouraging you to walk all over everyone and
Mhm.
take what you want in a malicious way.
Well, this is nice. Look, thank you, Claire and Rekkr, for the journey. See, that's what it was for us, a journey. I
Mm.
I was very enticed by you bringing it to. I hope you bring me something really interesting. I'm going to leave it up to you. Like, I was very surprised and intrigued, and I'm very happy we did it. I didn't know if I would be able to relate to it the way that I did, but it was challenging, and and I think that everyone can relate to it. Then now
Absolutely.
I can see the wide acceptability of it. If you get past all of the things nobody wants to talk about, the drugs, the violence, the deaths, all of that. But that is
Yep.
life in some places. In being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes about something that, well, it obviously didn't happen to me, and I'm not going to be able to relate to it completely. But trying to see it from
No.
another perspective, somebody else's view of life, in just that survival that they had to do, and how that, instead of crippling and holding somebody back, it actually opened them up to a whole nother way of thinking, that they moved through their life that way. They took the hard lessons that they learned and were able to apply it to everything that they did. It kind of moved them forward at a greater pace, with urgency. It was good. Thanks for the journey,
It
Rekkr.
was. And thank you for coming along. Well, I guess giving me a platform to do it as well.
Thank you for sharing mine, because I know you have one of your own. So this was kind of a treat to have you here with me. So this is good. So on that, I guess we'll wrap it up. Everybody over there on YouTube and Kick in Twitch, don't forget to like, share, and comment. If you haven't followed, please do so. Don't be lazy. It's free. Just push that damn button. Don't be obstinate. You can do it.
Exactly.
I know you can. Yeah. Like, give a little bear a pat. It ain't gonna hurt you. So definitely. The bear only bites occasionally. Just occasionally, So
Exactly.
yeah, but we'll be back in 2 weeks to wrap this one up and then get some ideas for doing the next one. And everybody have a great night, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
See ya.
Last
Good
words. Okay. Yeah. No. Okay.
Read the book. Yeah.
Read the book. The link is in the description, amongst a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, go read the book. All right, everybody.
Exactly. See ya.
Night.